This video is going to cover both the day trips to Mykonos and Rhodes. The first day we went to Mykonos, and at this time you had to take a ship tour in order to get off the ship. So I took this half-day tour, which took us first of all to this little harbour area called St. John's. As you can see, we only had about 15 to 20 minutes just to walk around and get some nice pictures. It was quite early in the morning, but still very hot at this stage. The islands that you can see just over there are, one of them is Delos, which is quite famous as an ancient Greek religious site, and I visited that on my last trip to Mykonos. But before too long, we had to get back on the bus and move on to the second of the three stops, and that was to a town in the middle of the island called Ano Mera. And at Ano Mera, we did two things. We had a visit to a really beautiful church that you can see here. I couldn't film inside, and you can see lots of chairs outside because of COVID restrictions. They couldn't have too many people in. But we also really enjoyed in the town square a snack of traditional sort of Greek food along with some ouzo. And at the end, just as we were getting to the hottest part of the day, we did a walking tour of Mykonos Town itself, which, as you can see here, we got off the bus and it arches in a big semicircle, and we walked the whole way through to the end and back again. And I can tell you some people were feeling pretty tired and too hot at the end of that. Worth noting on Mykonos Town that there is a little beach here, so if you just wanted to relax and chill out, you could absolutely do that just right off the ship here in Mykonos. Lots of beautiful sort of whitewashed architecture here and lots of great shopping, but some people were very frustrated by the fact that they weren't allowed to actually go into the shops on this tour. This is an area of the windmills, which are really famous, and Little Venice, which is a real highlight of the Mykonos Town area. By lunchtime, I was back on the ship, and in the evening we were sailing away from Mykonos, ready for our next day at Rhodes. That evening, we listened to the great Andrew Derbyshire, who was in his last week of his stay on the Apex. We had lots of fun there. And later on, around 10 o'clock, there was this great light and martini show at the Martini Bar. And lots of people gathered here to enjoy the show each evening, as you can see. Otherwise, it was time for bed and off to Rhodes the next day. I'm in Rhodes, which is one of my favourite stops when I came here on the Dam a couple of years ago. I think we're washing the windows today, so it's a bit blurry out. Really not sure what I'm doing today. I think I'm going to take a walk around. Maybe go over to where the boats are, see if there's any nice boat tours. Want to go to the Shell boat, maybe go up to the castle up there, a little bit of the old town. Don't know, we'll see how the day takes us. So I had made it out of the ship probably around 11 o'clock. I had quite a lazy morning, and you can see that the harbour kind of arches around in a semicircle, and I just walked around and had this really nice view of the ship. As you walk along the promenade, you can start to see the old town and the sort of medieval walls and gates. But one of the things that I wanted to do and did do was look at the shell boats, which myself and my daughter had enjoyed in our last visit. So you can see these little boats, lots of shell related produce, and I went into one of those and got some necklaces and a jewellery box for my daughter, which was great. A little bit later, I took a walk along the sort of pier to find out what type of ship tours there were. Now, these range from like full day tours, private tours, 8-hour tours, but I just wanted a 1-hour short tour around Rhodes on one of the boats. So I went for this Poseidon Adventure Red boat that was going to take us around Rhodes Town Harbour, and there would also be a little glass bottom experience on it as well. So as you can see, I got on that ship. I think it was only about 10 or 15 euros for 1 hour, which wasn't too bad. And it wasn't too crowded either, which you'll see later in Rhodes Town itself. There weren't that many tourists, but you get a lovely view of the lovely architecture. And here's a nice view back on the ship as we go around. And as you can see, Mykonos is not the only place that has windmills. Rhodes also has some here on the harbour. Now, what you may notice is that a lot of people have gone down below to the glass-bottomed section, and I was just enjoying being in the shade, and I didn't fancy going down, so I stayed up and watched one of the guys on the boat get into his sort of wetsuit. He was going down, putting a lot of bait down into the water to attract the fish, so people had lots to see down in the glass bottom part. So this was him just getting ready to sort of go down and sort of swim along with the fishes, so to speak. So there he goes. And he put on, I guess, a little bit of a show for the people down below. But as I say, I was more than happy to just enjoy the weather and the view from up on top here. After an hour, we got off the ship, and I decided just to take a walk through the old town of Rhodes itself. What you're seeing here is the moat area. And to be honest, I got a bit lost here. I was trying to find an exit into the main town, but there pretty much wasn't. It was once you were in the moat, you were there for the whole way. So I walked back and went through one of the main gates into town, as you can see here. The medieval town, of course, is full of beautiful architecture. It was the home to the Knights of St. John before they moved on to Malta, but the actual palace itself was closed this day. So I just took a bit of a walk around and went to the more sort of central area where there's lots of, I guess, tourist shops and cafes under this bridge. This is the main sort of town centre, if you like, and you're starting to get an idea that this is sort of like the main hub of the town. But this is right at the height of the summer, and you can see that with the kind of COVID problems that we had in 2021, there weren't even that many tourists here in the height of summer, which was actually really perfect for me. As you can see, just taking a bit of a walk around, lots of shops, lots of souvenirs. But at this point, I just wanted to take a bit of a cold drink. Just sat at the bar. It was pretty expensive, I have to say. It was something like €7 for a drink. And after that, just headed back onto the ship for the next day's tour to Santorini.